In today's video, we're going to walk you through what are the best ad extensions or assets to choose from, depending on the type of campaign that you're running. And we're going to run through how to set each one of those up as well. So first of all, what actually are assets or extensions? They're basically, as the name says, extensions are basically literally extensions of your ad. So basically, what they do and why they're so effective is that they make your ad bigger, so that when you add any of these here, any of these from the list, to your ad, they basically get added on to your headlines and descriptions, making the size of your ad bigger when somebody goes to see your ad on Google search. And the bigger your ad overall is, the more likely it is to be clicked on. And the more clicks you get, the higher your click through rate will be. And this will just lead to a higher quality score, meaning that you get cheaper clicks. And cheaper clicks means that you get more leads without having to spend any extra budget. So it's worth adding as many of these as possible. So now I'm going to just run through the ones that we add ourselves and why we do so, and then I'll go through how to add each one of them. So in our case, we sometimes add the image extension. So it's basically if they provide a service where it's very visual and like they want to show off like the type of jobs that they do, it's worth adding images. It's always worth adding the business name and business logo. The only thing for adding these two is that you must complete Google's advertiser verification first, so like verify your business. But once you do that, you'll be able to add the business name and logo, which is definitely worth doing because your ad will just seem a lot more professional when it is seen then by anyone who sees your ad. Site links then are also good, especially if you have like multiple website pages. So, for example, you can send them to like a contact page, an about page. But I don't think that's the most effective way to use site links. What we do is that if you have like separate landing pages for different services, let's just say, for example, if you're like a pool installation company and you do like fiberglass pools, vinyl pools, in-ground pools, and so on, you'd have a separate site link for each one of those so that they get brought to a landing page that matches up with the site link that they chose. So I'll show you that as well. We don't use the headline and descriptions because we already have like those in the ads themselves. Call out extensions then is where you can just make a list of as many different benefits that you can think of as possible as to why they should choose you. Structured snippets then are not exactly like callouts, but they're basically groups of things together. So, for example, you can group things like neighborhoods, which is like the areas that you target, different services that you offer. I'll run you through that in more detail in just a second. And call then is basically you can put your phone number directly under the ad itself. And those that see your ad on mobile phone then can just call you directly rather than even clicking onto your website. And if you're a business that like wants to get more phone calls, then you are definitely missing out if you don't add the call extension. Lead form, then we don't touch because we use landing page forms, and I highly recommend you do the same. From what we've heard anyway and seen, the Google lead forms don't tend to work as well. So if you do get form submissions, I'd always recommend setting up a landing page instead. Location then completely depends on the type of business you're running. We don't use them for the service-based business campaigns that we're running because most of them don't have a physical location where you can go to buy. Whereas a lot of them are home services where the homeowner would call out the service provider to come and meet them directly. So you don't need a location extension if you don't have like a physical like store or anything like that. The last three then, price, app, and promotion, we don't use for any service-based companies. I mean, you could use price if you did have like a set price on the service that you offer, but then again, most of the companies that we work with don't want to compete on price, and they don't want to come across as like cheap or anything like that. So we usually, I think it would be better to use these extensions or the price and promotion ones for more like, when you're selling products in ecom. But for lead generation, I usually wouldn't recommend using price unless you have a really set price on the service that you offer and it never changes. But a lot of the time for these service-based companies, you're looking at customized quotes. So we don't use those. So if you wanted to add image extensions to your ad, so like a photo of what you offer appears next to the ad, you just press the blue icon here once you've clicked on image extensions, and you just choose the campaign that you are running it to. And now, if you want to add an image, you can either do so at the campaign level or the ad group level. Usually, we recommend adding so at the ad group level because if you have different services and you have each of your services split up into different ad groups, then you want an image that's relevant to that ad group to appear rather than if you're providing multiple services, you don't want an image for a separate service coming up to the ad that they see. And then you can, once you have those images saved on your computer, then you can add as many of those images as you want to the campaign or the ad group level. And I'd usually have different images for each ad group. Business name and business logo are pretty explanatory then. You just go to each one. So you click on business name and then go to the blue plus icon to add the business name. And you just add it in here. And once your advertiser verified, it will show. But it's worth mentioning as well with these extensions that you can't tell Google that you want your extensions to show every time that your ad is showed. Google automatically A/B tests all of these for you, so you don't have direct control over this, which isn't like ideal, but that's just the way Google are. They like to take all of the control and use their AI to show different extensions at different times. So it's the same with the business name and the business logo. Once your advertiser verified, you'll be able to upload those yourself. And for these site link extensions, then same thing applies. So you just press the blue icon to add these. And so usually make like, maybe three or four of these site links, depending on how many like different landing pages that you have. And for the site link text, then I would put in the name of like the service on that landing page. So for example, as I mentioned earlier, if you have a landing page for, fiberglass pools, I'd put that here. And maybe for the descriptions, then I'd add, maybe some clear benefits of why they should, get that job done. Maybe for example, like award-winning fiberglass pools, or how many years experience you have, 20 plus years experience, certified and insured. Those are what I'd usually put in for the descriptions. And for the final URL, then I'd obviously put the link to the landing page that matches up with the service for the original site link text. And you can usually, most of the time, we'd add about four of these to the campaign. The more site links, the better. And the more extensions you have in general, the bigger your ad will be. So it's just always worth adding as many as possible, really. So callouts then are the next one. So you can see here you already have a bunch of these that we've been using on a different campaign. Um, and these are just some examples if you'd like to take inspiration from these. So things like affordable, family owned and operated, no hidden fees, courteous, transparent pricing, emergency repairs, whatever. It must be relevant to what you're offering. So maybe 24/7 mightn't be relevant to you, but things like personalized solutions, quality craftsmanship, satisfaction guarantee, all of those things that it just think for your case, like what are some benefits of why they should choose you? And that's basically what callouts are for. And you can add as many of those as you like. And then moving on to the structured snippet extension, this is basically where you can group things together. And what I mean by that is you have a bunch of these to choose from, and I'd usually recommend adding about two or more of these to your campaign. And what we usually do is use like the service catalog one, which is here. And basically, when you're adding a service catalog structured snippet, you can just list all the services that you offer, and they'll be grouped together like this, which I'll show you. So, service catalog. So, yeah, you can see here that you basically have like a group of the different services that you offer, just as a list. And that's basically what structured snippets are. Same with neighborhoods. So if you have like a bunch of different like suburbs within the city that you're based in or the county that you're based in, you can add in like the list of like smaller towns that you serve. Um, what other structured snippets are there? Amenities as well is kind of like, adding more call outs, so like listing off more benefits. And also for service-based companies, you could also do types and styles as well. So like, if you offer a specific kind of product, you might have different styles of that. For example, um, yeah, just different like materials and things like that. Same with types. So those kind of are pretty linked up as well. And it just completely depends on what you offer, really, what structured snippets would be most relevant to add to your campaign. And lastly, then moving on to the call extension. So if you are running a regular search campaign, it is absolutely worth adding this. Not if you're running, you don't, if you're running a call only campaign, you don't need to, because the phone number is already going to be there as the main call to action anyway. But if you're running a regular search campaign and the link to your website or landing page is the main call to action, then you can just press here to add the call extension. And then you basically, all you have to do is make sure it's set to the account or the campaign level, and choose the country that you're based in, and make sure the layout of your phone number is correct. Oh yeah, and then lastly as well is that just have to make sure you're tracking that conversion. And I have mentioned in one of my most recent videos how to set up the conversion tracking for the call extension, which is really easy to set up. And I have a few-minute video made on this as well. So if you're running a service-based business, these are the main extensions that I would add and how to add them. I hope you found this video useful. And if you have any questions at all about anything that we mentioned, feel free to leave a comment down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And if you do like this kind of content as well, consider subscribing to the channel, as we will be posting daily content on here. And if you have any questions about, something that you have struggled with inside Google Ads, do let me know, and it is something I'll consider making a video on as well, if it's the demand is there for it. But other than that, I'll see you in the next video.